Keeping the Flow podcast, hosted by Jason and Chad.
Yes. So today's guest, Chad, is going to be Annie's story, right? So
Yeah,
I
Annie's story. Exactly. She's let's call her an icon in AWWA. She's making some waves.
So it's going to be interesting to hear everything about AWWA and what they do to support operators and operations. So you'll get this because of my ongoing saga of the shirt, what to
Yep.
wear. So I was like stressing out. So today I brought out my water buffalo shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice.
There.
Yeah, there you go.
2015, I was a water buffalo. So water buffaloes are the water professionals that ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
And then all the money that they raise through their rides and such, they donate to Water for People. So
And
yeah, I was a water buffalo.
Yeah. Do you have your patches too?
Yeah, yes, I still have the patches. So that's
Great.
what I'm sporting today. I didn't have to worry about it, but I am through all my nice shirts. They're done.
And I was thinking too, so you could tell what day it is that we're doing this by my 5 o'clock shadow. So nobody knows this about me. My boss yelled at me. He's like, "When you shave?" I'm like, "I shave every Friday. That's it." So we missed it by a day.
I shave every Friday, every once in a while. I got a lot of gray.
So we have a new addition to the family, Jason.
You do?
We do. A 3-pound Yorkie named Louie. We got him for Mother's Day. So he is. So I'm looking forward to speak with Annie and see what she has going on. And AWWA is a great organization, along with Illinois Rural Water. We're lucky, and the people are really, really good too. So I'm sure it's like that in every state. If this travels past Illinois, which I'm sure it will eventually, but we have some really good people here, and and Annie is committed. So I definitely like her passion, and I think she'd be a great addition to the show. So I can't wait for her to jump on. It's gonna be great.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Here we go.
Great. Let's go.
All right. Welcome back to Keeping the Flow. I'm the host, Jason Upton, and co-hosting with me is Chad Johnson. Today on Keeping the Flow, we're joined by Annie Story, Executive Director of the Illinois Section of the American Water Works Association, with career rooted in association leadership and a passion for volunteer engagement and strategic development. Annie brings wealth of experience to the water industry. She's here to share how the Illinois Section AWWA is supporting professionals through training, resources, and a strong network of industry leaders. So welcome, Annie, to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
So I did a short bio there, but maybe, is there any details? I know there was a lot in your bio, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I have been the executive director for 5 years now. That just flew by. Kind of hard for me to believe, but I did come from a whole association background. So I've always been rooted in, creating connections for members, ensuring that our organizations are meeting your needs. And I come from rural Nebraska is my upbringing. So I didn't really have much wastewater background coming into this, right? Grew up on well water and aquifers, and that's about as much as I knew. So I have learned so much from all of you. And it's just been a really great ride here with the Illinois section, and happy to bring my talents and merge them with everyone's expertise.
So, yeah, maybe you could start off by telling us a little bit about AWWA, and maybe we can get into some of the programs and some of the benefits that you offer to operators and people in the water industry.
Yeah, so our section is part of the Greater American Water Works Association. We are dedicated to safe and sustainable water throughout our nation, and we have other international affiliates as well. But for us, right, we're focused in on Illinois. We have about 2,400 members, and I think one of the critical things that we do is just keeping our members informed of as much as we can on regulations and legislation, things that are taking place across this state. But AWWA then supplements that with things that are happening nationally, right? And bringing in those kind of resources. So our section is well known for all of the education that we do. We're pretty fortunate that we have so many great members who donate their time or donate their space across the state, where we have about 80 events a year. About 40% of those are virtual. We know that that's important for a lot of our operators. That 40% virtual, we record those, we make those available to all of our members for free, because we know how important it is for you to get top quality education to maintain your certification or to even get your certification. So we try to help all of our members from that starting point of, joining a utility to, maintaining that certification throughout the years.
So when you got in, you said you've been in it now, what, 5 years, right? So, and it's went fast. What did you have any goals coming into this? I mean, what brings you to AWWA? That, great group. What brought you to AWWA, and then what kind of goals did you set for yourself as a part
Well,
of the?
yeah, I feel like that's maybe an evaluation question here of,
Yeah,
of me. But yeah, I have always worked with, different chapters across different national organizations. So previously, most recently, was with pediatricians, and I loved working with those chapter executive directors. Right, they were in the legislation, they were helping their members, they knew their members well, and so I had a career goal of becoming an executive director, and kept seeing this ISAWWA post on a couple different places, and thought, let's just try, right? Let's get that experience of seeing what an executive role would look like. So was so fortunate and so grateful to have been selected as the next executive director. Honestly, when I started, part of the whole kind of interview process, a lot what we talked about was public perception, and how, the section had such great wealth of education and expertise, but it really was that public perception piece that was kind of missing off of the current goals. And so that's kind of where I set my own goals. And then, lovely COVID happened 3 weeks into me
yeah,
joining the team. And so
Yeah.
that switched a little bit, but really, that allowed me that first year to kind of dig into the operations, the policies, the stuff that kind of nobody likes to do when you take over an
yeah,
organization or a company. But I also got to see just how awesome our members were. From, we got all those FEMA masks and we did that mask distribution. And it was so incredibly humbling for me to see, people coming like you, Jason, right? Coming, picking up masks, taking them to other communities, helping each other out, and just how we distributed that across the state was really kind of one of the first things that I got to experience with our members. And, terrible that we needed it, but how neat and kind of cool to see our members come together and support each other.
So coming in right after COVID, and experiencing all that with it proposes its own challenges. But is there any kind of trends or anything that you see that you think have like perpetuated that? Because you mentioned a lot of online stuff. So is that just for outreach, or why the 40%, or what other trends are you seeing that you need to get training delivered?
Yeah, we were very much more in person pre-COVID, right? We had our webinar series, but a lot of the seminars and even like the operator trainings weren't taking place online. I think we all like that in person, right? That connection, that piece for
Absolutely.
those,
Yep.
training and being trained. But what we found was virtual training was here to stay. For those rural communities, I mean, not even any of us, right? It's hard sometimes to make that drive, could be 2 hours to get to that training site. That you're losing that time. And especially if you're short staffed that day or whatever it may be, having that virtual option just has been great. We did try some hybrid things, especially kind of um, our key experiences there. I'm not a fan, because it's really hard to do something in person and online, and make each audience feel like they are a part of it. So we've kind of
Gotcha.
taken a step back from that piece of it, but I do think virtual is here. It works well for some learners. And if you think about our young professionals coming up, I did my master's online. That was kind of weird in the early 2000s. People didn't really do that, but now it's so commonplace. So I think we do have this group of learners coming in who's very used to using the technology and that piece of it. And so I don't think that it's going to go away. If anything, it's more about how do we create more engagement through those online platforms.
So yesterday,
That's why
no, sorry, Jason. So yesterday we were talking about this very thing about the young professionals coming up. So, what is AWWA doing to bring in some new talent or younger professionals? It can't be just webinars, right? So what else are you working on to do?
Well, really excited. I feel like you just gave me a plug opportunity here, but we have every summer what we call Total Water U, and it's an opportunity for any member, engineering firm, utility, wherever, universities. If you have an intern who is interested in water or just even working with you, we have this programming, 3 parts. Because we truly believe that, right, this is a good opportunity as an intern to grow professionally. So we bring in a professional development speaker and have them learn some leadership skills. We then also do a plant tour. So they can see that, they can network with each other. And then we do have a networking opportunity. So networking within their own peer set, and then also bringing in folks like you so that they can meet you, ask questions, hear from leaders. So that has been a really cool opportunity that continues to grow. And hopefully, right, then we're engaging them throughout the year with different programming. They all get AWWA memberships for that student rate and are feeling a little bit more supported, I think, in their career growth. So that is one way that the Illinois section has really been focused on that. And I think the other, we are working on a student chapter. We're actually going to a virtual student chapter across the state just for that networking piece, right? It's a little harder, I think, post-COVID to get things set up on college campuses. For us, or finding the right connections. So virtually, then that allows us to have speakers from across the state, have them convene, with eventually having more of a presence at our annual conference and bringing them together there.
And what I was going to say is that's the reason why we started this podcast. We felt there was a need to get information out there to the folks that may not come. I mean, I think the conferences are great. You've got the sessions to enjoy, the networking that takes place, and definitely seeing a lot of new, fresh faces at the conference. Unfortunately, I don't feel that. I feel that there's a lot of operators that are stuck behind. Maybe they don't have that opportunity with their municipal to get to a conference or to be able to afford a conference or things such as that. So that's why we saw this as being a need to kind of get information out there to maybe the operators that are had to stay home. So do you see like in the numbers, what groups in the water industry seem to be really taking a hold? New people coming in, fresh faces, people retiring, and kind of that good backfilling of personnel. Is there like a engineering operations?
I feel like it's a really mixed group, right? So we are definitely seeing a lot of new faces at WaterCon this year. That was super exciting. We are kicking off a new operator conference here in the Chicago area for one of those reasons, right? There's really great things across the state, Illinois Rural Water, IPWSOA. And so we're trying to have our event early or late in the summer, early fall, to capture those members here in the Chicago area, because we feel like those other groups are doing a great job across the state. But you're right. Unless you have that management support to say, hey, you really need to go to this, or you see someone, with that, I guess, strong feelings, you feel like they've got those leadership skills, are going to be, they're showing you, I can't think of my right word. They're showing you their talent, right? And their eagerness. We need you as supervisors to invest in them and to bring them along. And I would say it doesn't matter what your career field is. If you are taking someone new, be a mentor to them, right? Introduce them to a few people, show them what it's like to walk that exhibit floor, or have an engaging conversation. Because once they see you do that 1 or 2 times, they're going to feel more comfortable, and then they're going to make the most out of the experience. If you send them
Right.
and it's not like, hey, make sure you meet Jason, or Chad will be there, connect with him, that's really hard. And then same for the rest of us, right? When we see that fresh face or somebody new, reach out and introduce yourself, because we want them to feel connected. We want them to see that this is a great professional home for them. And if we do that, right, they're more eager to come back and to get involved with us, rather than, yeah, I went to it and nobody even talked to me, right?
Yeah.
So we never want that. And I don't think that really, it transcends, like, that's just humanity.
Does it seem like with the people hard to do just different generational things at the conference? I know. What is your feeling? Does it seem like it's challenging to try to do things that include multifaceted generations? Everybody. How do you look at that and decide what activities and what speakers and like?
Yeah, I mean, for our keynote, our vice chair, we design a conference theme, and so usually that keynote then plays into that piece of it. We've gone back and forth. Is it, someone who's a technical expert to someone who's motivational, and that kind of just depends on you, right? What you enjoy.
Right.
And so it's kind of fun to see both sides and kind of mix that up, I think, because then you are playing to everybody's strengths and what they're looking for us, when we do the education sessions, we have a pretty good session review of your peers, right? We ask you to help us review that. We bring our volunteers in to set the final, make those final designations, but we're looking for things that cover about everything, case studies to product demonstrations, kind of the whole gamut, because we know we have, like you said, a very diverse group. We also want to play to everybody's interests, and technical level too. We have to have some intro courses. We have to have some advanced courses, right? So that there is something for everyone. The nice part is we've got 7 stages now. So we can have a lot of variety, so people can kind of pick and choose what they're interested in. We now have the exhibit floor opportunity, right, that you can take part in. So you can go meet with certain exhibitors, get an on-site demonstration, get some hours. So I think when we look at it as a whole, I'm watching industry trends. So not just from water, but from all associations. And the number one thing that people are wanting is connectiveness. So, it's not always about who's the keynote anymore. It's about that networking time. It is, what's the celebration piece. So like our section celebration, that's evolving, right? We kicked it off last year. This year we changed it a little bit, right? We're going to keep refining that to ensure that it's still fun for everyone. And I think we did a really good job the last 2 years. So that helps that the weather played nice for those outside events. But I'm watching that piece of it. We did a lot of training, or we had a training for exhibitors. How do you capture people's attention when they're coming into the floor? Because there's 7 different personalities of a person. And so wanting to ensure that our members are also helping us with that, and staying kind of abreast of the research when it comes to a convention, because there is research out there. There are people who are certified in exhibition management, right? They didn't even know that until recently. So I think that's part of our goal, is to ensure that everybody feels like this is a great place for them to be, and that they're welcomed, and encourage them to come and check it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, on the training aspect, so all of my operators, that's part of one of their benefits. I guess it is a benefit. We give them a WWA membership mainly for the training, as you speak of, because our operators may not have that opportunity. I can't have all 6 of them going to the conference all at once. So we utilize for all of our training, our CEUs, all of our operators do utilize the recordings to get their CEUs. So we so much appreciate that. And as far as uh, training, is there any other training opportunities or groups? I was a part of the mentoring group for a little bit. I did it for myself and to learn a little bit about how to interact with with the new folks that were coming in that wanted to be mentored. But I felt like I was being mentored as well because they were teaching me something that maybe I didn't. I did a little differently than they did. So I used it both ways. The hard part with me on the mentoring was more so. I think I was paired with some engineers, but it's hard for me to mentor engineers. Most of the time as a I'm dealing with engineers, I'm working with engineers, but I'm really not teaching engineers how to operate the plant or struggles that we've had within the industry, as far as operations go. So maybe can you talk a little bit about a couple of those programs as well?
Yeah, mentoring, I think, is really evolving. That is something that I see changing as we have, this new group coming in. I myself am part of a mentoring circle, and that is really interesting because it's a group of peers. We all kind of come from different industries. So, when we meet, we talk about, what was the win for the month, what was our challenge, and what do we need from each other. And that has been a really cool experience for myself. So that's something I'm hoping that the section will kind of look at is expanding that a little bit more so it's not always the one-on-one, but our one-on-one can be very successful for people who are committed to building that relationship. And I think you're right, it is definitely a two-way street in mentoring. When I mentor as well for associations, I always learn something. So even though maybe you felt like you weren't, Jason, I bet you were
Yeah.
teaching them quite a bit about the industry. So there is that mentoring piece if that's what somebody is looking for. I think it's a great way to give back. We're starting to see, I think, a lot more too of our industry, people, experts, giving back in terms of, being asked to be at some of our young professional events or coming to Total Water U. Those social events, I think, are kind of critical too, of just connecting on site, asking questions for that. We do have a new leadership committee. That's probably the newest thing we have in this kind of realm. And this year we have an online series. So again, back to that virtual, because we know it's so critical, but we know we've got that workforce gap, right? That change is coming, and we have to help prepare all of our members for those leadership opportunities. So our leadership committee has a series coming out starting in October, 5 sessions. We bring in speakers for those, and it's everything from, navigating difficult conversations to time management, being a supervisor, kind of doing that project planning piece of it. So very different sessions. So members can choose which one of those they're interested in. And then in 2026, we'll bring back our leadership summit in person that we did last November as well, which was great. So really, I think focusing on those leadership development because we can all learn from that, right? No matter really what age, we look at it from more of a developmental standpoint. Have you never been a supervisor before to you're a new supervisor to, I'm advanced. But I want to freshen up my skills. So the Leadership and Total Water Committee, I think, does a really nice job of ensuring there's something for everyone. And I think we'll start to see a lot more in that space because I think we're all going to be able to benefit from that.
When could you repeat that? When was the dates of that, Andy? Or
So they
when
will
are you starting it?
kick off in October of 2025. We do it basically every other week. So it'll end then in December. And we actually, I think, just updated the website with the information. We'll start to see a little bit more from us on that, but it really is a neat opportunity, I think, hear from outside the water industry on the leadership skills, things that we know. And we actually did research with students, MBA students, on what were the key skills that were needed in our water industry when it came to leadership. And so we've also used that research. We did that probably 3 years ago to really help us design the programming that we're providing.
So I think that'll be a great addition. Uh,
So
I
Annie,
have to take it up myself.
yeah. So Annie, with all the programs though, is there one that you have fallen in love with that you want to say you need to take this class or you need to get this certification, or is there something close to your heart that you would recommend?
Oh,
Just
I
one.
mean, I do just one.
Yeah, just one.
We've done really cool stuff, right? That's the best part of having committees and leaders. People are always bringing that to us. And such different topics, right?
Yeah.
Like I would just
But
said
no
earlier
water, no
today,
beer is No water, no beer is pretty popular. When
That's popular, not so much education. Though, during COVID, we did do a beer tasting virtually. That was pretty fun. We learned a lot about the water process. Actually, it was really neat.
Yeah, it
Um,
probably surprised you how much water is involved in beer making.
yeah.
I was at a conference. I was at a smart water conference, and that the speaker was talking about a distillery. It was like the Jack Daniels
Mm.
distilleries, and they were talking about their water sources, how important water is into the different industrial markets. So yeah, no water, no beer is not that much different. I mean, it's
It's
liquids.
not. You're right. I actually did a tour of a pizza place here in the Chicago suburbs, and they bring in their water from New York. So
What a
apparently,
Oh, for the for the
Chicago
dough,
water
right?
wasn't so good.
For the
Yeah, for
for
the
the
dough.
dough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that good,
yeah.
good tie in there,
So
Chad.
supposedly, but yeah, supposedly it changes the flavor. So I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know
New,
either, but
New York can keep their pizza.
Uh, so if I'm interested in, we're kind of like Prestige Worldwide. That's a Step Brothers thing there. But for Illinois folks, if they would like to get involved with AWWA, like where do you think they could be um, most useful? Where do you think their talents, or where do you need the most volunteers, or what group?
yeah, when you have a passion for something or expertise and you're ready to provide that, let us know, right? Because it really is across the board. I know, man, I wish I had my numbers now, but we saw over 1,500 students last year in career fairs and outreach events. So if you are really passionate about telling people why they need to take this career or go into this field, I want you at a career fair and explaining that and bringing like the stuff, right? Kids love to see the pipes and, the tools you use. Bring it. Let's go. If you really want to help on the education side or the technical piece, want to see, some new programmings come up, we're happy to get you into those committees. If you're looking to grow your network, there are committees that help you do that too. So, just pick what you're interested in. And I think sometimes when we volunteer, it's not always, we don't want to do everything we do all day. I actually like to volunteer where I either get to work on a different skill or sometimes I like to just volunteer and like do the things in the back because I don't get, to be quiet too often, if you can imagine that. So, volunteering is a great way, I think, for people to try new skills, to get into a new topic, right? Too. So if there's even something you're interested in learning, let us know, and we're happy to kind of make that match for you. But really, if you've just got a couple hours and you want to get something kicked off in your local community, we've got the water ambassador program there out there too, where we can help you to start communicating with your own community about where your water comes from, what the infrastructure looks like, and the value that you provide to your communities. That's been probably, you said an event, but the water ambassador program probably is really the closest, nearest, dearest thing to my heart, which is one of the things when I started the job was all about public perception. And here we are 5 years later, where we kicked off that program, and just kind of brings tears to my eyes when I see the stage every year at WaterCon, how much it's growing every year and how many communities we have involved. And, there's a lot more communities out there that I'd love to get involved with that program.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would encourage anybody who's listening, or anybody in Illinois, when you have something coming up, whether it be dealing with kids or college kids. I know not to talk even about lead and copper, but when we started our survey, door to door, we partnered with Augustina College, and I know Travis, which is my supervisor, he reached out to you, and you guys are gracious enough to, and the college kids loved them, like the Merces, or they were like the bag, shoulder bags. Yeah, you gave some of those a notebook and a pen, and I'm telling you what, they were on cloud nine. So I would encourage folks to reach out if they have some outreach projects, to reach out to you guys too, to see how you could help them uh, in their outreach, or to help things be more successful in their areas too.
Absolutely.
So what's next for AWWA? Like, what, you got any goals moving forward? I know one of the big things, we moved the conference, and that seems to be slow. Last year I had my doubts, and I heard some people were like, "Oh my gosh," but I think that's a lot of us. older people that, you know, we're so used to what we were used to. And so change, you know, always comes with some scruff. And so that's what I heard initially. But this year, coming back this year, I think I heard a lot of positives, and, you know, record number there. The booths, the exhibit area was great. Good job for that. But where do you see, what kind of goals and initiatives do you see moving forward with AWWA?
Yeah, so the Illinois section has our own strategic plan. And really, I think this next year, we're taking a deep dive into our education. We're doing a whole audit actually next week to say, you know, we've got these great programmings, but where are missing pieces, you know, so we can create the full puzzle and put it all together for members. So looking forward to kind of seeing what that kind of emerges, where we're going to go, what some new programming, get more people involved with that. Always outreach and workforce development, right? How do we help our members connect to people? We've seen such positive growth in connecting with school counselors. So that would be something if you're, you know, anywhere in the United States, you know, they're a real key piece to that workforce issue. Bring them out to your plant, show them all the different careers, right, that take place right there in their communities. Yeah, there's just always so much, right? But I do think, you know, our goals are always that next gen, preparing, you know, our members for the workforce changes. We do have a little bit more focus on technology and trying to showcase that more to help everyone kind of prepare for those changes that are coming. And then the public perception, of course, always we want to keep that high, that people trust us and they value the work that we do in our communities. And then just keeping you abreast of all the legislative and regulatory things that are happening, right? There's a lot that you have to keep track of. We're trying to help you with that and ensuring that we're providing you top-notch education and updates for that piece of it.
So with all the certifications and training and young professionals that we talked about, what about a success story? So have you seen, like, soup to nuts, somebody that came in, you know, and from the nest and said fly birdie and and they're doing good? Any story you want to tell about a success that you're
I don't know in 5 years if, I mean, there's so many of our members, right, that I have seen grow. And I think it's kind of warms my heart a little bit, right? The first time that they, you know, interacted with us, maybe they showed up to conference and someone said, hey, you should join this committee. And then they do great things. A few of those have flown the coop out of Illinois. So that's great for them, sad for us in the Illinois section, doing really awesome things. But I mean, I'm always just amazed um, at our members, right? They're so in tune, I think, to their jobs. They are about the importance of their jobs, right? They're being there, they're responding, you know, they're serving our communities and in any way, shape, and possible. And I just think that itself, just seeing someone grow in their roles, taking that next leap, becoming a supervisor, or knowing when to say, maybe this wasn't for me quite in this, you know, part. I'm going to go try a different side of the industry. That's always really neat too, I think, to see people making those changes and learning something, a new skill set, really, sometimes at any point in their career. So there isn't one. I am really excited. We just had our first apprenticeship program participant. This last year, he just graduated, so he worked with School District 214, Arlington Heights, and he was paired up with the Arlington Heights utility, and so they're helping him with that, you know, the coursework, getting the hours in. So that has been really fun to kind of watch that emerge, and really looking forward to getting more utilities paired up with schools and offering those apprenticeships.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Outreach is great. We did our own little outreach today. So I think me and Travis did 3 classes of 3rd grade. The proximity of the school is right next door, but so they brought over 3 classes today. And one, I thought it was kind of, you know, I've always kind of looked at outreach like what age is too young? And sometimes I even look at it as like, are we wasting our time with these kids? But then over the years, I've also thought about, you know, one way, a direct connection to the parents and helping them understand our city and our water and where it comes from is through the kids. And that's what I told a kid today. He's like, He said, why do you do this? And I'm like, well, because if we tell you, then you're going to go home and tell your parents, and your parents may not have known that we do 5 million gallons of water from the Mississippi and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
everything that we had told them. But I really do think that the outreach, I don't think there's an age that's too young, because they're going to repeat that to someone else. And that someone else might be that person that you're trying to connect with in the first place. So, yeah, my little story. So,
I
you got
agree.
anything?
Yeah. I mean, I watch my girls now when we drive anywhere, they'll be like, oh, mom, there's the water plants, right? They can now recognize, just even the infrastructure piece of it from there. And 5 years
So you're
ago, I
becoming a
wouldn't have
water
been
nerd?
that. Yeah,
Are you
of
becoming one of
course.
those water nerds? Awesome. That's
Well, I
great.
mean, we do also comment on the taste of water as we travel too. So I won't tell you our favorite, but um,
Yeah.
When I was driving down, when I got my new role at USG, about I've always been in the waterworks industry, but the kids get older. I'm like, well, they always ask, what do you do now? I'm like, well, I help paint water towers and maintenance and stuff like that. And they're like, well, what's a water tower do? So then I had to go in this whole system of where the water comes from, how it gets treated, where it goes, what's a water tower for like 15 minutes. And my kids are like, they look at me like I'm some crazy
Yeah.
person. It's like, are you bored yet? No. Okay, we'll keep going. So it's funny.
but they're
Yeah. It's
listening to
not,
you and they're going to tell somebody, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
grew up
Exactly.
in a small town
Exactly.
where all I knew about the water towers that the high schoolers climbed up it and spray painted on it. Nobody explained what its actual purpose was. So it's
Right.
it's good to
John
share
Deere
that
Green
info.
too, right? Was it John Deere Green?
No, it was white and black on
Okay.
our
no.
ITEL.
I'm just saying that.
So, so Annie, closing it out here, how can people that are listening, or hopefully lots of them are listening, how can they stay connected with Illinois Section AWWA? How do you guys? What kind of connection? How can they stay connected?
Yeah. No matter where you are in Illinois, not, join AWWA, you then are connected to your local section. And we all offer really great, I think, opportunities for you to be connected, to be educated, stay in the loop. I know we get a lot of emails from out there. You guys are always inundated. But, email, find it us on Facebook, LinkedIn, social media, whatever, however you like to receive communication. We're hoping we're at that place. If there's something we're not doing, let me know and we'll look at that. But it really is up to you to maximize your benefits. If you're looking for education, we have it for sure. If you want to get more connected and meet people, show up to an event, right? We're hosting those. So if you want to have your own social event in your town where we don't have it planned, reach out to us. We'll plan it. So I think, our goal is to support our members, and, the more that you are interacting with us and sharing feedback and your ideas, the better connected we're going to be.
Nice. Well, thanks again for doing this with us. Again, this is what we feel is our connection to the people that are hopefully wanting to learn more about our different guests and what they have to offer, and maybe even a little bit about myself and Chad. But thanks for coming on here and talking about Illinois Section AWWA. It's much appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, Annie. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right.